When the Hyundai Kona Electric first went on sale in the summer of 2018, the choice of EVs with more than 200 miles of range was piss poor. There was the Tesla Model S or X, Jaguar I-Pace or Audi e-tron, and you needed at least £70,000 for those cars. So a small crossover with a claimed 180 mile range for under £30,000, excluding that £4,500 plug-in car grant, remember that, was revolutionary. And yes, whilst the top spec bigger battery version cost just over 38k, which paled in comparison to the Kia e-Niro 3 in terms of interior quality, space and handling, that car didn't arrive until almost a year later. In 2021, the Hyundai Kona Electric received a series of upgrades based around design, technology and practicality. This model was a key player in the UK's EV market, and these updates helped to meet growing consumer demand. For a more detailed review of either of these models, head to discoverev.co.uk. Moving on to 2023, and Hyundai announces its second generation Kona Electric. The brand have been very conscious to place the primary emphasis on the electric vehicle rather than the internal combustion engine models when it came to design and engineering. And things are still competitive, with prices starting from just over 35k with 48 kilowatt and 65 kilowatt battery options, offering up to 390 mile range, increased cabin space and boot space, 4 trim levels and strong residual values across the range. Hyundai says it listened carefully to feedback from Mark 1 Kona owners, and it definitely shows. It's got a bold and rugged new look outside that includes these sculpted wheel arches and dynamic chrome lines which connect the side belt to the spoiler with integrated brake light, and a seamless horizon lamp that stretches across the front and rear of the car. The EV version gets these pixel graphic details on the intake grille and rear bumper, and pixel-inspired alloy wheels too. For me, it's all very 80s futurism car design. I mean, it looks like it could have stepped straight out of a Robocop film. You'd never know it, but this paint is partly made up of waste tyres, while inside recycled PET, and no, I don't mean deceased hamsters, but bottles, make up the headlining and carpet. Also, I love these mesh headrests, a first for Hyundai. They're so comfortable and really help to get your money's worth from the driver's status monitor. This is one of the many safety systems which beeps at you. This one isn't for speed limits, but for some sort of psychic prediction that you're about to fall asleep or pass judgment on your attention skills. It thought I needed a coffee a few minutes into the drive, which is true, I did, but I wasn't about to have a nap. Clearly, the car isn't clever enough to know how loud my kids are. While I'm sat inside the cabin, let's address how much more modern and ergonomic it is. The dashboard is now dominated by this dual 12.3-inch panoramic display that runs on the brand new software. And I'm pleased to say there are lots of physical buttons and the materials are just much more better quality. The gear selector has been relocated from the centre console to behind the steering wheel, which means there's more storage in that open console area. Talking of which, my son loves these pop-out cup holders. And I have to agree with him, they're pretty cool because it means that you can put them back in and have more space. He also liked these blind spot cameras that show you a view down the side of the car within the instrument cluster when you indicate. And I had to disagree with him on that point because I think it's just tech that's not needed in my book. Built on the same larger K3 dedicated battery electric vehicle platform as the Kia Niro, the Kona boasts best-in-class interior space, boot capacity is increased by 30%, and there's also a 27-litre frunk. Sadly, it doesn't support fast charging capability, taking 41 minutes for a 10 to 80% top up. That means more regular stops on long journeys if your budget can only stretch to the entry-level version with 234 miles of range. On the upside, it does feature vehicle-to-load technology, allowing you to power or charge household devices directly from the car. Did any owners out there suffer a power cut during Storm Bert and use their EVs to make a cuppa? I'd love to hear from you. Both versions of the Kona Electric use a single motor to drive their front wheels. While torque output remains the same for both at 188 pounds per foot, the standard range models get 154 brake horsepower, whilst the long range cars get 215, giving it a 1 second advantage in the 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint. We're talking 7.8 seconds versus 8.8, which is pretty lame, but that's kind of what this car is about. I mean, the steering is light, great for parking and manoeuvring, but not for fast switchbacks with very little feedback. And the suspension is equally set up for pootling around town. It's more assured and refined at least than its predecessor, less bouncy, and there's far less road noise. It feels more grown up for sure, and it also gets one pedal driving for the first time, which works pretty well. The Kona isn't the cheapest car on this list, but it does everything you want an EV to do, and it's a significant improvement over its already reputable predecessor. If you can live with its polarising design and the fact its assistance systems beep way too much, it's user-friendly, well-equipped, spacious, comfortable, a good all-rounder you might say, and now it's practical enough to be considered a family EV. But it's not particularly fun to drive, and it's very mundane. You know when EV haters talk about electric cars being soulless shitboxes? Well, this is the very definition of that, an appliance or white goods, something to get you from A to B. To be fair though, I am not Hyundai's target audience, and you can't argue with the facts. That is, this small SUV has become Hyundai's best-selling model in Europe, and almost 60% of those sales were purely electric, also proving a top pick for corporate fleets. The bigwigs at Hyundai are confident that the new Kona can surpass the first generation sales figures. Let's watch this space.